My husband abandoned me to be with his dying ex-girlfriend because she is family, so I walked out of his life and he lost everything. My husband, let's call him Seb, and his ex, Tanya, became best friends after their breakup a couple of years ago due to her infidelity. I would be lying if I said it never made me feel uncomfortable even once. It did, and it still does because Tanya is still in love with my husband. She never denied it, and in fact, would even call or message me when she couldn't get a hold of Seb. Aside from cancer, she also has some mental health issues. Thus, my husband would always tell me to be kind and patient. Seb is no longer in love with her. Of course, she cheated, and Seb swore that he would never get back to her and that he only sees her as family. 2 weeks ago, my husband received a call from Tanya to tell him about the sad news. My husband cried with her and told her everything was going to be okay. They were on the phone the whole day. Seb and I moved to Australia a few months ago because of my job, and Tanya is in Canada. They mostly talk via long-distance calls or WhatsApp. They've been in contact almost every day since we left. This always bothers me, but what can I do? After that call, my husband told me everything. To be honest, I felt bad for her, and I genuinely feel sad. I asked him, what's going to happen now? Seb told me he's going back to Canada, which is a shock. He then told me that her last wish is to be with him. I didn't say anything except, what about me? He said if I can't leave my job, he will visit me whenever he can. I walked out without saying anything. Since the phone call, I've avoided my husband and ignored him whenever he tried to bring up the conversation. I learned he had already bought a ticket yesterday and was flying back home in January. I feel like he's me, but at the same time, I feel that I'm selfish for hating both of them. I'm honestly thinking of getting a divorce because obviously he's choosing her over me. But at the same time, I thought of why my husband is so attached to her. I feel sick and confused. I want to call her, yell at her for ruining my marriage, for trying to steal my husband from me, for using her sickness to get what she wants, for being a bee. I'm so mad at both of them. What did I do to deserve this? Seb flew back to Canada in January last year. Before he flew, we talked about the situation, and I told him I've been in contact with the divorce lawyer. He was surprised. He said he didn't expect me to leave him just because he needed to be with his family. I remember that at the time all I felt was anger. I was so mad that he's making it sound like I'm the bad person. Nevertheless, the conversation didn't end well. He left without closure but said he would be back in March. I was left alone. January to March last year were the darkest days of my life. I knew I did nothing wrong, but I blamed myself for everything. I hate to admit it, but I canceled the meeting with my lawyer as I started to doubt if I really wanted to leave him or not. I love him so much that I'm willing to accept him again when he's back. During the entire time he was gone, he rarely called to check on me. I had to call him most of the time. I know I'm dumb. I feel so alone and sad. I begged for his attention, to give me some time and be with me again. All that time he kept telling me that Tanya needed him more. In March, I was expecting him to come back so we could talk, but he didn't come back. He said he needed to stay longer and promised me he would be back in May. I don't know what happened to me when I got that call from him in early March to tell me he wouldn't be flying back to Australia. At the time, I felt like there was a switch that suddenly turned off because somehow I stopped caring. When he told me he wouldn't be back until May, I knew I had to move forward without him. Fast forward to May and he was back. That day we sat down to talk. He broke down and said, "I can't lose you too." When he said that, I thought Tanya was gone, but no, she's not. As far as I know, she's still alive. I asked what happened, and he told me that Tanya asked him to go back and be with me. He said that Tanya was sorry for everything. Seb didn't want to leave her, especially when he saw how bad she was doing. They had a fight, and according to him, Tanya wants him out of her life. If I was the same dumb person, I would totally accept him back. But at that time, all I could think was, he's only back because Tanya doesn't want him anymore. I let him cry. I comforted him and let him stay in my apartment. A week later, I told him I was divorcing him. At first, he refused to leave. It was a long and painful process, but on my birthday in July, he finally realized that he couldn't manipulate me anymore. By August, he was back in Canada. The divorce is not finalized yet, but we have been separated since he left. He tried to contact me several times last year. Ananya also tried. Everyone, including my family, tried to convince me to give him a second chance. But that day in March, when I finally returned to my senses, I knew nothing could make me change my mind. Last year was a major turning point of my life. Seb still bothers me occasionally, but he knows I couldn't care less anymore. Our common friends have told me that he's not doing well. He became an alcoholic and couldn't get a good job because of it. He's mostly couch surfing because Tanya doesn't want him to live with her. Story. My wife and her friends threw a celebration in my own house without telling me. They moved my clothes to the garage and laughed. "You can sleep there, king of losers." I quietly picked up my bag. 2 weeks later, they got a letter from my lawyer and a video that made them all scream. Chapter 1. The night I became a stranger in my own home. The laughter hit me before I even unlocked the front door. It was the kind of laughter that doesn't belong in your home. Sharp, dismissive, full of cruelty wrapped in fake cheer. I checked the time. 10:48 p.m. I hadn't gotten a single text from my wife all day. I stepped inside. There were balloons tied to the stair railing, empty champagne bottles on the counter, music blaring from the Bluetooth speaker I bought her last Christmas. And in the living room, my wife, 6 of her friends, and 2 guys I'd never seen before, all lounging like they owned the place. Her friend Sasha spotted me first and burst out laughing. "Oh, look, it's the garage goblin." They all laughed. I looked at my wife. She didn't flinch. Instead, she stood and said it like a punchline. "We moved your clothes to the garage, babe. It's just for tonight. Girls' night plus guests. You understand?" My coat still hung on the hallway hook. My boots still stood by the front mat. But I no longer belonged here. She leaned close and whispered with a smug grin. "You can sleep in the garage, king of losers." I didn't say a word. I didn't fight. Didn't ask why. Didn't even grab my shoes. I just walked to the garage, picked up the bag they dumped my things into, and left. No dramatic exit, no yelling, no tears. But I knew one thing as I walked into the night. They thought they were throwing a party. What they actually threw was a war horn. And I was the storm they invited in without knowing it. Chapter 2, The Law is Louder Than Laughter. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car outside a 24-hour diner, sipping stale coffee and watching the rain blur the world through the windshield. 15 years. 15 years of loyalty, of building a home together, of holding her hand through everything. Gone. Over what? Some thrill? Some girl's night stunt to impress her wine-drunk friends? Or had this been growing all along? The disrespect, the whispers, the hidden contempt. By 6 a.m., I had a plan, not a reaction, a response. Strategic, clean, devastating. Step 1, the lawyer. By 9 a.m., I was in the office of Lorraine Patel, a divorce and property attorney recommended by a friend in corporate. She didn't waste time with sympathy. After hearing everything, she leaned forward and said, "Good, you didn't explode. You didn't confront her. You walked away, which means she doesn't know what's coming. Let's make sure she never forgets." Turns out the house wasn't just under my name. It was entirely under my name. Bought 2 years before our marriage. Deed never updated. She thought mocking me and throwing a party made her the queen of the castle. She didn't realize she was squatting in my house. Step 2, the paper trail. Lorraine moved fast. Within 48 hours, a notice of eviction was drawn up. A cease and desist letter for unlawful occupancy and willful damage to private property was prepared. A formal separation request was filed, citing emotional cruelty and public humiliation, all documented. But the most powerful piece, the video footage. See, I had installed a new home security system 6 months ago. She knew about the outdoor cameras. She didn't know about the inside ones I added later after she'd accused me of forgetting things or gaslighting her. There it was, clear as day. Her mocking voice, her friends laughing, her pointing at the garage and calling me a guest, my bag being tossed outside like trash. Lorraine watched the clip, raised an eyebrow and said, "They're done. Legally, socially, financially done. Step 3, the silence before the strike." I didn't text her. I didn't show up. I didn't even open the dozens of missed calls. Let her sit in that house, the one I owned, throwing parties and spending money while the fuse quietly burned beneath her. I booked a week in a quiet hotel. No contact, just calm, cold preparation. Because real revenge isn't loud, it's legal, surgical, undeniable, and when it arrives, it doesn't knock. It serves. Chapter 3. The Knock That Shook Their World. 2 weeks after the party, the envelope arrived at the house. Certified, signed for, undeniable. Inside, a formal notice to vacate within 72 hours, a copy of the deed proving I owned the property outright, and a USB labeled for your memory and the courts. That USB contained the footage, all of it. The taunts, the laughter, the bag in the garage. Day 1. The silence before the scream. I watched from the car across the street. Engine off, windows cracked. My soon-to-be ex-wife walked out to check the mail in yoga pants and her usual smug expression. When she saw the official seal on the envelope, her body stiffened. By the time she reached the porch, she was already on the phone. I couldn't hear her, but I didn't need to. She stormed back inside, waving the letter in the air like it was a bomb. And in a way, it was day 2. The sheriff arrived 72 hours. I didn't wait. My lawyer pulled some strings, and by the next morning, a county sheriff's cruiser rolled up the driveway. Blue lights off, calm, professional, but firm. My wife opened the door wearing one of my shirts. Behind her, her boyfriend, the same guy who toasted himself at my own kitchen island 2 weeks earlier, tried to puff his chest. "What's this about?" "This is our house." The sheriff calmly pulled out the deed and the court order. "No, sir. This is his house, and you've both been occupying it without consent." The fallout begins. They tried everything. Screaming, denial, fake tears, even threats. Then came bargaining. "He can't do this. He left." But the sheriff simply said, "He didn't abandon the property. He gave you space. You abused it. Now you're being legally removed." And just then, perfectly timed, a moving truck arrived. I stepped out of my parked car across the street and walked up. Her face palled. "What are you doing here?" she demanded. I smiled. "Claiming my property? Don't worry, you'll have the garage for now." The final blow, the video I handed the sheriff a flash drive. "This is what led to today." Just in case the court needs context, he raised an eyebrow. "Video proof. Multiple angles. Audio included." The boyfriend stammered, suddenly sweating. And then came the moment of collapse. My wife's mother showed up just in time to hear, "You and your friends mocked him in his own home. He's been more than fair, but now he's taking it all back." Chapter 4. The video. They couldn't escape. The morning after the sheriff's visit, the house was in chaos. My soon-to-be ex-wife's friends, those same ones who once cackled over champagne, mocking me while claiming my home, were now avoiding her texts because the video had leaked. Not by me, but by one of the moving crew who watched the USB footage during the pack-out. They uploaded a clip to TikTok with the caption, "This is what happens when you humiliate the wrong man. # revenge. # get out my house." It went viral within hours. The viral footage, the clip. My wife and her friends clinking glasses in the living room chanting Garage King, one of them tossing my shoes out the back door like trash. Another mocking my cologne smells like sadness. And then my wife laughing. "He's too boring to even fight back. Let's just enjoy his house until he realizes the comments exploded." He's not boring. He's plotting plot twist. He owns the house. You just rent air. This is why you never disrespect someone silent. I bet they're getting evicted, stay tuned. They were right. The fallout in real life. Her job called. Due to recent viral attention involving unprofessional conduct, we're suspending your position pending review. One friend texted her, "You told me you owned the house. I didn't know you kicked him out like that." Another, "Why is there a sheriff in the background of the video? What the hell did you do?" The boyfriend, he packed his bags and left that night, said he wasn't built for this much drama. The last words he told her, "Maybe you should have treated him better." And me? I didn't say a word publicly. Let the video speak. Let the silence stretch. The internet dubbed me the man with the USB. Silent King. Garage ghost who came back with paperwork. And in the courtroom, my attorney brought a hard drive. The judge watched 4 minutes of footage and simply said, I've seen enough. Immediate ruling in the petitioner's favor. Chapter 5. The King of the Garage. I stood in what used to be my garage, now completely empty. The stained mattress they gave me was gone. The cobwebs were cleared. This time, I wasn't in there because I was forced to be. I was there by choice, to smile one last time before locking the door. The house was legally mine again. After the video surfaced and after the judge ruled in my favor, the court order gave me full ownership of the home. She had no legal standing to even visit without my permission. Her girls' club was disbanded. The brunch squad turned on her, and her ex-boyfriend filed a restraining order when she started camping outside his apartment crying. She tried to apologize. I got letters, emails, a 4-minute voicemail sobbing. I didn't mean to push you that far. I thought you'd fight back, not vanish. Another said, please, let's fix this. I was stupid. The girls were pressuring me. I miss you, but they weren't apologies. They were reactions to consequences. I sold the house. Not because I couldn't stay, but because I wanted a fresh start. A local real estate investor offered above market price, especially after hearing the viral story attached to the house. I donated part of the proceeds to a men's mental health foundation. The rest used to build my new life somewhere quiet, private, strong. My last move. Before leaving, I installed a bronze plaque just inside the garage wall. It reads, "When they put you in the garage, don't cry. Build a kingdom." I took one final photo, posted it anonymously to Reddit with the caption, 2 weeks in the garage. A lifetime of lessons. Thanks for the motivation. Epilogue, the lesson. They mocked what they didn't understand. They laughed at silence, not knowing silence holds power. They pushed me to the margins, thinking I'd disappear. Instead, I became the storm that erased their comfort. And all it took was one USB drive, a legal folder, and patience. Was this revenge perfectly justified, or should the storm have raged harder? Drop your verdict below. I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice and share this story with someone who needs its fire. Subscribe to Revenge Exposed because here, betrayals don't sleep. They hunt their owners. Every shadow hides a reckoning. Every mask breaks and every betrayal is answered. Stay sharp. Stay unbroken. Stay tuned.